discussion on intimacy. How are you feeling, guys? Yeah. You ever listen to Tony Robbins? I want to hear it. Let's get some energy. We're going to talk about intimacy, so we need to be a little bit intimate. Generally, I don't want you, if you're going to say something really wild and give your name at the same time, you might not want to do that because I'm giving a heads up. I am recording it just for the sake. This is a Facebook Live. I'm old school. I always do Instagram Live as well and YouTube, but today I just want to just do Face because FB because I just want to keep it chilled. I'm not like, you know. Yeah, there is one or two people. Yeah.
How many people do you get on the live?
I'm a little like low bar because my thing. My name's Ellie Goldsmith. I'm from London. My main focus is promoting other people. So here and there, like when I do my own thing, I'll capture it for posterity, or if a guy wants to review it. Last year we had the Intimacy Boys What's Up, and I didn't make that. You guys made it. Yeah, I mean your predecessors. So if anyone wants to do that, you can do that. I'm all for it. And what it does, it gives us ability once a week to just connect. Whoever's here, whoever's not here can get the link, etc. But that's up to you. Someone here should volunteer. Apparently there's a new thing, like a day guy or something. What's that about? The guy who's the man of the day. Yeah, he is. So then you can make the group this if you want, or someone who can take responsibility. But anyway, the point is, we're here for you. I'm here for you. This is a big opportunity. You know, big up for last year's group because they went through a war. Literally, like we started our first 2 classes. Like we had not just you guys, we had also a mixed class, which was fun, and then we had a class just for them. And then the war started, and then it got wild for their program. Like meaning they weren't able to have the usual flow that you guys hopefully will get. They weren't able to travel around as much as you guys hopefully will. But don't take it for granted, that's my point. You're going to get a full session, full program. Please God, you won't hear sirens like the last year's story. You won't be rushed back home. There's a lot of pluses. You can move forward and move back. We can even have some music and do, what's that game? Yeah, that's the one. So I'm originally from Edgware in London. I sense an English accent on that show.
Do you go to Edgware United?
See, you got my humour.
Do you go to Edgware United?
Edgware United is a good football team, actually not. But I did go there, yeah. Yeah, once in a while. I actually got chucked out there. That's one of my memories.
You're not into Jewish geography?
Not so into it, no.
You're not into Jewish geography?
Bagling, no. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We'll get, you'll figure out a lot about my geographies. You'll get intimacy in a minute. We're going straight for the... So we've got, basically, because we've only got 5 sessions, I'm going to cut my intro really short, like not normal short. If you want to listen to my full story, go to last year's story. I'm going to put up the link if you're interested. Once again, that means someone has to make a group. And I went into a really crazy wild stories about intimacy and my journey and why I'm being chosen of all the people in the world to be your agent to discuss this really important subject. I mean, this is probably the most important subject for a young man in 2024. That's my opinion, but I really feel, one, blessed that there's a program that cares about it, because that makes you guys lucky. That when I was in yeshiva or programs back in the day at your age, no one had any classes like this. Yeah? It just wasn't happening. You went privately and talked to a rabbi or a psychologist or therapist. They didn't really have intimacy coaches back then, so this was something which is like wasn't discussed. Unfortunately, like in public settings. So you guys are fortunate in your generation where you'll have ability to communicate much more. But what we're going to discuss today is 2 points about communication that are challenged as well as enhanced by being in the generation you're in. We're going to talk about being proactive. Hopefully some of you guys know what that means, especially in relationships. In order to initiate a relationship, you're going to have to be proactive, which in simple terms means actually being able to make the connection between you and the girl, you and the lady, you and the woman, you and your soulmate, please God. You have to actually make that interaction. It's not going to happen if you're scared or anonymous or DMing like as some fake profile or whatever. It's not going to happen that way. You're actually going to have to be yourself and be able to communicate. That's being proactive, first point. Second point, we're going to talk about mission statement, having some sort of mission. Like we have a mission together with these classes, so that's what we're going to discuss as well. But we're also going to discuss your own personal mission, and that's where these books are going to be useful, or your own phones, please God. So 2 points, being proactive, which means initiating relationships, and 2, making sure you have a goal to those relationships and goals to these classes, goals to your year, goals to who you are, getting to know yourself more. This would be essential to success. You know, I wouldn't be able to do this if I hadn't done all that work. One, thank God I'm married 23 years, which is already a big accomplishment. If you know me, you'd be impressed. And that I'm still married. And married in the first place. Two, yeah, I don't care. Yeah. Everyone knows out there, knows my story. I talked about when I ran a nightclub called Pimps and Whores, and I talked about everything. So there's nothing, yeah. I've got nothing to hide. Like, I'm an open book. My wife, maybe not as much, my soulmate, but I call her my soulmate, I think that's more exact. But yeah, I grew up in London, I grew up secular. That means I didn't have Bnei Akiva like you guys had. I didn't grow up with a big beard or, you know, this also. I didn't have that also. In fact, I was in better shape in that time. But that can be changed. I can fix that still now. But the idea of growing up in London, in Edgware, was a journey till around 18, 19 when I came to Israel. I was living in the secular world of London, northwest London to be more precise, even more precise, Edgware. I was an Edgware boy, which meant all those things, like they used to call it back in the day a Beck, someone who was very social, had a large scene, used to, as I said, mention, run clubs, used to organise events. I grew up in the event world. My family are well known in London. The Goldsmith family put on the largest events on earth. Live Aid, Live Earth. I don't know, if any of you seen Bohemian Rhapsody, that movie. Yeah, like Freddie Mercury, you saw that performance. I was at that show in VIP Royal Box. That was my experience. By the way, if anyone walks out, it's totally cool with me. Just come back or listen in. Anyway, another thing, yeah. London was for me an opportunity to, Baruch Hashem, like meet a lot of special people. I have, thank God, a very close friendship circle, which I'm still, as they say, boys with. We've still got our crews. How do I know I still got those crews? Because I still have my WhatsApp groups with those solid groups of guys I'm still friends with. Now, how I got to meet my wife, I don't want to just jump there. I'm going to first do a very, very quick session about, so we're discussing intimacy for those who came late, and we're discussing being proactive. So one of the things I did, thank God, it took a little bit of work on myself, but remember, I grew up without phones. This is where we're going to do a little bit of a bridge. I mean, when I went to meet a girl, I didn't have a profile to check her out. I didn't have statuses. I didn't have what you guys got. Yeah, I didn't have that. So I had to actually go out somewhere. Like one of the things which was a fame. I didn't discuss this last time actually. So this is new material. I didn't find a girl by just like getting on a phone line or however it was, or being introduced like the religious world through shidduchim or whatever it was. I went to a ball. You know what a ball is? You have balls? So it was like prom, but like every few months, organized by some cool DJ or promoter, and I'd go with my boys, and yeah, I went to public school, thanks for asking, and then I moved to private school, which is another interesting story, because I was on Harrow on the Hill, which meant I had a very like state school, I don't know if you know English kind of vibe, but it was pretty like a state kind of kids. I don't know if any of you watch Netflix like programs, like there's a bunch of crazy ones with the real hardcore communities in London. You get to see that they're not like, it wasn't the kind of place where you could just look at someone and say whatever. If you did that, you'd probably get a punch in the face. Yeah? So I grew up in a very rough state school, and then I went to a very posh private school, which was like an option. Yeah, all the suits, and the higher school wore the bowler hats, and Harrow Hill was connected to my school. Ours was like the lowest school, called John Lyons. Harrow, Eton, so we had a picture of Winston Churchill, like, for example, because he was an alumni, and he was buried there as well. Harrow on the Hill. So that was the school, and I was part of John Lyons, which was like the lower version. It wasn't as fancy as Harrow, but it was in the same environment with the same fancy clothes, and we were like the more lower level school, which we knew, but that was fun. But the point was that I went from state to private, and then to uni, and then I came to Israel. So that's my school journey. I didn't have a year like you guys to come into Israel. I did have what was called, back in 16 years old, is an important time, I would say. So from the balls, that's where I met a lot of girls. And what I'm talking about proactive is I would go and initiate relationships. I didn't text them. It was called having the confidence to be able to communicate first. Okay? I do believe it does. And thank God in this program it definitely does, because you guys, I'm not saying you should hook up, but you do get to talk and connect to other women, which is great, which is good training for life. Like one time a rabbi asked me when I started to work on programs, they called me the Midnight Rabbi back then. You can Google that, it's actually an entity of mine. So they asked me, what would you say is the most important thing about the young guys in our program right now? And it was a bit of a crazy program. So I said to them, relationships, guys and girls. He said, good answer. Because he was checking me if I could work there. Then he said the second thing, so what would you do? Because, there's a more religious approach. If a guy's hooking up with a girl, what would you say to him? Always hooking up with lots of girls. What's better? So I said, the guy that's connecting to one person rather than loads, obviously. And he said, good answer. So I kept this kind of interview. I never had a job interview like this in my life. And the bottom line was, being able to develop a relationship with someone was more important. And teaching guys that that's important was my first job interview question for working for Yeshiva and for a program. It wasn't exactly like this, but it was the concept. And that helped me when I was up all night with the guys, hanging out on the streets and in the different things we had, this music studio, different things I did back then. It was very important that I was able to connect in that way. And I think that because of my personal journey, and I think that that's one of the reasons why I'm here now. But let's get into my own story just for a second. So I used to go a lot of balls, and that was where it was about numbers, which wasn't it. Then I went on to tour, and I continued that flow. It was about numbers. How do I know it was about numbers? Because I apparently was the guy who went around the world. How do I know? Because on the top, I don't know if you got your merch when you went on your trips to Israel, but you have everyone has their symbol, their sign of what they represent in the group. Yeah, like their name, their brand. So my brand in that time was a world, a globe with a tongue and a guitar coming out. So which I went around the world, you know what I mean, yeah? Literally, from girl to girl to girl in all different nations. And that was my month in Israel. Now,
how many countries do you have?
I'm not going to say, but we're not going to get into exact numbers, because that's maybe I've said it in the past, but right now, I'm going to keep it a little bit vague. Okay.
Do you have a picture of yourself?
Yeah, I'll share. That's why, make a group, I'll share it. Now, the idea of where we're at now. So when I was, by 17, I had a big transition. I got a bit like hippie, a bit more spiritually focused. I started to think a little bit, which was, quite a unique thing at that age. I started to analyze. I was running clubs and I was feeling empty from it. I was making money and I could get the prettiest girl. I had the VIP down. I was running, with DJs and as I said, for my family, I had access. If I wanted to go to a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert, I'd have VIP, Royal Box or whatever. So I could imagine everyone wants to be my friend because I bring a few friends with, So I had access to all the stars, even backstage. I met them, and it was a different kind of life. My brothers are still in that business, thank God. My father's already the chairman or whatever, and I'm here in Israel. But before I made that choice to come to Israel, I was starting to develop thoughts, thinking, intelligence, using the brain, which is quite a unique activity nowadays. So I was actually thinking about my life, who I am, and I started to realize I was empty in that world. I did not feel good. So I started searching as a young person does, and I hadn't really visited Israel much other than that 1 month. And like I said, most of that month was doing the girl tour rather than the actual Israel tour. So I had to now figure out, maybe I need to come back to Israel and actually experience it. Because I did feel something special when I came, even as a secular Jew. I felt something different. I felt like when I came back a bit empty. I cried a lot. I didn't know why, and I wasn't a crying kind of guy. So I came back to Israel during my university year, and I had the most amazing experience. I came back, I think, twice. One in the Rosh Hashanah time, which is coming up now. And the story was basically, my first initial intention was to go to Haifa, Tel Aviv, party, And I had a friend who was even directing me that way from uni, he had a friend who was meant to pick me up from the station. There was another girl who was a little bit more traditional. She was staying in the Hillel House University, and she was also going to Israel. Anyway, the nightclub dude never turned up. 2 stone, 2 out of it, never brought me to Haifa, never happened. The girl who lived in Tel Aviv but was getting more spiritual was landing in another few hours, and the nightclub guy hadn't turned up. I was waiting in Tel Aviv airport, the old one. I was waiting around, and comes in the cool girl, but spiritual, and said, you can stay by my place in Tel Aviv. So I was waiting around, why not? So I go back to her place, and the next day she literally sends me on a bus to Jerusalem and says, you need to go to Jerusalem, you need to check out yeshiva, you need to check out your heritage more. And I'm like, fine, I'm open-minded. I didn't have anywhere fixed. So I ended up in Jerusalem, and as you probably heard the story many times, ended up at the Heritage House. It's a place right in the Old City, and I ended up by all these different programs and transformed my life, found a lot more what I was looking for. Now the interesting thing and what happened, and this is going to be relevant for intimacy and being proactive, is I had a long list of girls on my phone, let's just say. Yeah, lots, too many. There was phones, mobile phones, yeah. I'm not that old. Yeah, 90s, yeah. I even had a little Ericsson, I don't know if you know what Ericsson is, but it was like the coolest phone you could get that time. So I had it, it would be like the latest iPhone nowadays. So I had it, and it had all my list of numbers out of all the girls that I was friends with, and I lost the phone. And I ended up, honestly, with like a few, like that, 2 close circles.
Why do you keep a list of all
What do you say?
phone?
Yeah, phone numbers. Like, it wasn't like now you have a cloud, you have a way of getting it back. You don't take it for granted what technology you've got. I didn't have any way to get any of those numbers back other than finding all those people and asking for it. And I was already in uni now, so I wasn't in the same scene. I wasn't in the same Northwest London. Northwest London's quite like its own scene. So I was now like down south in Brighton, I was on the beach there, and I was doing a different flow there. So I only ended up with 1 or 2 girls I really connected with on a more deeper way, because that's how, as I said, I was thinking at that point. And all my crew, my main crews, they were still there. So now, I have this one girl's number who stood out from all those people. Let me tell her who she is. She ends up being my wife. I met her, 14, shul hopping. You know what shul hopping is? Yom Kippur, boring day at shul for a secular Jew. Very long, have to fast, don't want to fast, don't know what it all means. So I start walking around London, going from shul to shul, checking out the talent. Yeah, that was my Yom Kippur, which is actually, the Mishnah says there is such an idea that you find your soulmate in Yom Kippur, but I don't think that was the intention, young men checking out the talent. Nevertheless, that's what I was doing. So I was walking around. Huh? Talent? You don't know what that word means? With women, it's like beauty or whatever.
Oh, you're trying to find chicks on the
Yeah, chicks, there we go. So now, I'm checking out the chicks. So shul to shul. Yeah, so I was good, I'm English. So now we've got to get the language all up to date. So now I'm walking in between one shul to another, and there's a beautiful girl coming up to me, being introduced to one of my best friends. And I'm like, cool. Now apparently this girl really liked me, but there was a lot of beautiful girls, a lot of beautiful chicks as usual. So I wasn't gonna make a big deal out of it. She was more into me than I was into her. That's how it was back those days. So I had a lot of confidence and arrogance maybe. So I just walked off and found whatever. So I didn't think about it too much. So that was the first time we met on Yom Kippur. 16 years old, I'm running around the gym in a place called David Lloyd. Have you heard of David Lloyd? Yeah. It's like a really up-to-date, good fitness center. This was in Bushy. So I'm running around the running track, and in those days I had the whole, look. Even then, 16, I was really working out strong, and she's hot as anything, this beautiful girl. She's being introduced to me on the running track, and I remembered her. It was my same best friend, who, funny enough, just sent me a picture this Saturday night of him with my other best friend. And my other 2 crews ended up getting together. This was just Saturday night. So I'm still very close with these people. And he introduced me to her again now on the running track, and this time we had a long chat because I was running around. And we became very close. And like I said, when I was at university, she was the only number I kept. But I never did nothing with her physically. There was just this wild soul connection. This is going to be relevant for this whole intimacy focus, because we're trying to get you to understand that there's a soul level. You have a soulmate, not just a chick. You have someone who's going to complete you. And this girl started to have that vibe, like there was much more. So I didn't want to ruin it with the physical stuff at this point. I don't know how I knew that. but maybe I'd done it enough already by that point. I wasn't really so motivated. Like I'd had a few breakups, and we can talk about that if you want. You can ask questions about those other kind of relationships where they were more fiery, passionate, but they ended up in a mess, ended up in fights with other people and all kinds of, cheating and crazy stuff. So I'd gone through all that garbage. So now I felt like I needed to find the real thing. But she was, as real as she was, I just didn't feel like it was the right time. I just didn't connect in that way. And I went to university, as I said, and I had this one number, so I was in touch with her, but we didn't. Now, when I came to Israel, she was the only other girl from that whole social scene who came to Israel as well. And she went to seminary to get more connected to her past, and it was a perfect timing. She was in one school, I was in another school, and I kept bumping into her. And as the story goes, you can listen to it, it's a lengthy story, but to cut it short, every time we saw each other, there was this crazy energy. And I was at a point where I was trying to distance from women, because I wanted to just focus on my soul, my spirituality, on Torah, whatever it was then. And we kept getting put together because I was very close with her twin brother, and he invited me for Shabbat all the time, and she was there. And bit by bit, it came to the point where I was like, this is the one. I really felt it strong. After about a year and a half in Israel, she's the one. And I started speaking to some of my, guides in life who I'd been connected with already and come close with, and they said she sounds amazing. And basically by this summer, Tu B'Av, it's 23 years since we got engaged. Okay, Tu B'Av is like the middle of August or something like that. So now we're engaged, and about 3 months later we're married, Hanukkah, and that was 23 years ago. Okay, so.
And you didn't ever touch her?
Now, I'd kissed her on the cheek because that's what people do in that world, yeah? Like you say hello, you kiss, all that stuff. I'll give you a funny story. She doesn't like this story, wife, but we went to Titanic. I don't know if you know what that movie is. We went, and I think I'd already been to see her already, but for some reason, it was a weird thing, like we just connected. I went with her, and I drove her there, and we went to the movie. Now, every other time I went to a movie with her, I always had my best friend, who always sat in the middle, so nothing can happen. But now, we're in a movie with her, and it's just me and her, and it's a romantic movie. But the fun thing was, all these boys we used to have beef with were like a few rows behind. I don't know what they were doing there, but they were there, and they were making fun the whole movie, like doing kiss sounds, trying to annoy us, because our boys had beef with them. So it was like a weird thing, and I didn't do nothing, and we drove her back, and just as I'm about to get her out of the car, and I said it was a really nice night and everything, I went like this, and she's like thinking it's the moment, and I said, no, I'm just getting the seatbelt, of course. And she never forgot that line, I'm just getting the seatbelt. Yeah, because that was like a blow off. Like she went home, she wrote about it. I ended up reading her diary later on. Don't do that, but I did. And I saw that whole story. It was fun. How she experienced it. But
I bet you
anyway.
do that every time you get the car.
What, the seatbelt joke? I've done it a bunch of times, but not every time. Because remember, once you get married, things start getting a little bit more like, what's the words? Not just serious is good, but so there's higher stakes. There's much more at stake. Like when you're young, it's, you don't have to pay bills, to worry about all this stuff, children, all this stuff. Once you get married, it's higher stakes. So you can't just all the time pull a joke and piss her off. You've got to be like, those things have to be timed. But anyway, we'll get to that. That's the way down the road in our discussions. First thing, we've got to initiate the relationship. So this is my journey to initiate my relationship with my soulmate. As I said, I was great at initiating all the other girls who were other girls. They were flings, one-offs, pulls, up and down relationships where there was no trust. I had all those things. But to find the soulmate, it was a process of me, one, being open to it, and two, having the confidence to actually, as our friend here said, you still do it, to actually talk to the other person, not just... Yeah, no, because there's sexting, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. There's I'm not stupid. There's hybrid. There's all this all these crazy apps nowadays, Tinder, and people are hooking up. It's nothing to do with what we're talking about. Yeah, I mean they're initiating something, but it's all through.
The goal is to have sex.
Yeah, it's not actually finding someone who you're potentially could look into her eyes and say, this is which is what I did with my wife. When I was dating my wife, I looked into her eyes, and that was something an Arab friend from university told me. He said, you have to look into the eyes to see. And that's true, I ended up hearing from a rabbi. The eyes are the window to the soul. So I looked into her eyes on one of our dates, and I felt that there was such a deep connection, such a soul connection. It wasn't just that it was also the window to see how beautiful she is. That's a deep idea, that when you look into the eyes of a woman, you're going to sense the inner beauty. That's an important tip, by the way. That eye contact is a lost art for a lot of people now. If you really want to connect with someone, it's eye contact.
Yeah, eye contact.
Now, remember, so where we're at, let's come down to the schedule, because we want to get a schedule here. I've got 10 points I'm going to hopefully get done in 5 sessions. How old was I? Now let's do the ages. I was 14 when I met her for the first time shul hopping. 16 when we ran around the gym. I was 18 when I came to Israel to program. I was 21 when I got engaged. 21. And in that year, within that 21, I was married. So I've been married for 23 years, but now I'm 44. You got it? That's good.
I have a question still.
Yeah.
You only got serious when you realized that you got a serious relationship with your
Right.
That's when it started.
Right. So I basically done enough by the time I was 16, 17, where I was no longer needing that whole outlet of just one night stands or whatever. So it's something you can actually grow out of, hopefully. Some men don't. You know, funny enough, I don't know if you're into the podcast world. Any of you into the podcast world?
Yeah, Joe Rogan.
Yes, I'm very into Joe Rogan. I'm obsessed with Rogan. I'm obsessed with all that world. And I'm obsessed with the music world because I grew up in the music business. So if you want to talk about music, podcasts are a big thing for me. But one of these guys on the podcast, who I don't actually really like him at all, I'm only going to bring him up just as an example of what the world is learning very slowly, but nevertheless learning. There's a guy called PPD. You know PPD? Patrick McDowell. He's quite a big influence now. Anyway, he had a guy called Dan Bingano or something. Bingano. He's like a real, Bingano. He's a real IG player. He's a player. He makes me look like nothing compared to what he's been up to. Yeah. If you want to hear how to be the dark force in this world, he's your teacher. He's worse than Andrew Tate. Yeah. He's out there. Yeah. So this guy, I don't like him. I'm just bringing him up because even him on his low level and low lifestyle, he's even realized that there's a limit to how much you can just have hedonistic, full-on hookup culture. He's had enough of it already at his age, and he's the worst of it. So if he's realized it's empty and a waste of time, and he's starting to now try home in on 1 or 2 girls, all of us should, with Jewish intelligence, and we're in Israel where we have access to actual truth rather than all the garbage out there. So we have ability to learn what is going to be good for us in a long-term level at a younger age, and hopefully not have to go down that road that a guy like that has been doing for so long. I learned pretty young. As a secular Jew, I hit the goal post, or actually hit the goal very quick. And that's what we're going to discuss now about having a mission. Knowing we're jumping, last time I spent a whole class just in being practical. In fact, 2 classes. I only have 5 classes. Last year I had loads. This year I only have 2. So I'm going to squeeze it in. 2 concepts that really deserve 3 or 4 sessions. We're going to discuss mission statement. You're going to have to do some quick thinking. What does it mean, mission statement? Now I'm going to ask you guys something. What would you say would be a mission statement? Do you have one? Do you know what it is? The concept? Mission statement. Good question. What is it?
Like a sentence that outlines your goals and aspirations.
Excellent. You went to Eton? No, I'm joking. So, yes, excellent. So, City of London, okay, yes. I was friends with some city boys. Now, the idea of having, and was there city girls as well? Yeah, that too. But the idea of having a line that characterizes or best describes your goal in life, your mission, that is really important. I don't know if you've ever thought about it, but you should have it. When I gave out my cards back in the day, my mission statement was, life is short, gotta be quick. They say you want to suck my... Okay, I'm not going to say that. Yeah, I used to give that out to girls, and
that worked. Was that when you did the video?
it was a bit low and cheesy, but sometimes that works. Okay, I'm not saying it didn't, but I regret that. I think that's a crap line, yeah? And whenever I remind my wife, it used to be my line, my tagline, she was like, and I didn't have Instagram, but that was my card. Because I didn't have a status, so I had to give it out as a physical card with my phone number. Okay, now, what I would say my tagline would be, and I was meant to bring a whole thing. I actually have a computer and stuff in it, but yeah, go on.
You would give out cards saying you want to suck my
Yeah, that was on the card. It worked. It was like a business card, but with for a different kind of business.
What's the success rate on the pass? Percentage-wise?
You don't need a high success rate.
I had a large social life and friends, and no one ever said they won't be my friend for it. Everyone got it with a sense of humor, you know?
Let's say it was 5%. You're giving it up to 1,000.
Trust me, I wasn't the kind of guy walking around like going like this. I wasn't like that. Like I said, I didn't go to that Dan's level. I wasn't at Andrew's Tate's level. I was still a Jew boy in North London. Let's just be real. Like Jew boys in North London, we talk the talk, but we don't really, you know what I'm saying? Like we act like you boys know. We don't like say we act like rude boys. You know what rude boy is? Like a tough guy, but we're really a bunch of.
Right, so see, Jew boys that grew up in like nice
Yeah, nice homes. So I went to schools with the kids were like all crammed into one room, council estate, and then I went back to my nice big house and with my own room and my own car and I was a spoiled Jew boy. So I would talk like I was like one of those kind of rough kids that had teeth missing, but I was not. Yeah. So same with the women thing. Yeah. Go on. Then. Too confident, too arrogant. And it was a problem. Now, I've learned, obviously, that that's not right. Yeah, as I said, I started thinking and started maybe regretting some of those ways of being and some of those relationships. Some of them were stressful. For example, if you, we're jumping straight to it, but say you're with a girl and, your protection doesn't work out, and now you're worried you just made her pregnant, that's a little bit stressful. Yeah? Or you don't know what she's got. You know what I'm saying? The kinds of sexual diseases that go. There's things or you can catch just from a kiss. You can catch all kinds of stuff. So there was some stress involved. It wasn't all like it's Hashem God made the woman reality. It's not stress free. It's not just hook up and everything's fine. There's a whole side to it that's complicated with birth control and everything else. There's a whole side to it that you need to think about also that stressed me out as a young kid, because once again, who did I have to talk to back then? No, I wish my dad. You're lucky if you had your dad. My dad was busy in the music business. He was never home. He was running concerts all night, every night, events. Yeah, anybody you could think of in the rock and roll world, he was involved with. He was involved with wrestling, all the big WWE stuff. He was boys of everyone. He was not around much. I couldn't ask him those kind of things. Who did I speak to? My brother's friends. That's who I spoke to. And who were they? Older brother's friends. And what was their influence? Not so great. Yeah, it was like teaching me how to hook up more. Not teaching me how to be a gentleman or how to really care about the other person. So that I had to learn not through a course like this. I had to learn it through study. I had to learn it through experience. I had to learn it by getting to know what a woman is. And what she really is, not what the internet shows you a woman is. Yeah, you have to start to find out what you're dealing with here in a real way. And that's where, when you start to formulate clarity, then you can start formulating your goals. So what happened with me is I started to realize I don't want to have that as my calling card. I want to have a goal that's a bit more elevated, and that was the journey. So I came to Israel and I started finding myself. It took a while, but eventually I realized for me it's very important to connect to people on a soul level. That's what it matters in my woman relationship. I have a soulmate, but also to connect to you guys as souls. You're not just guys in another program in Israel. So the program gets paid. You guys have an experience, and Shalom Yisrael. There's much more to it. Your souls with personal journey, with talents, with unique mission in this world, and each one of you have your own light to bring to the world. And you start to think in those ways. You start to get a bit deeper about who you are, what you're here for, what your purpose is. Start to understand that having a mission statement is not just something that companies do. Because by the way, every big corporate company has a mission statement. Any company that's successful long term has a mission statement. It's part of success. You have to have goals. You have to know what mission statement, what your goal is, mission focus, what your focus is. You have to know what it is. Bnei Akiva, they have a mission statement. What would you say the mission statement of Bnei Akiva? World Bnei Akiva. Say again? Okay, that's beautiful. Torah and Avodah, but it's more than that. What is it? What else? Eretz Yisrael. Thank you. That's the third part. Torah, Avodah, but Eretz Yisrael. Because it has to be, they're bringing you here. And the very Zionistic is about bringing you guys to Eretz Yisrael. It says up there, what does it say? Jewish peoplehood, and a formed an active sense of becoming to the Jewish people. So also an awareness of the Jewish self. That was hard for me to read. I was going with my eyes. By the way, just as a side note, if you've done a lot of stuff with women, your eyesight starts to go. That's just the down one, the down.
That's why
People don't know that, but it's brought in halakha. It says in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. There's something in the Torah which says your eyesight goes, you start to this, you start to that. Basically, it has a lot of power. The force between man and woman is actually one of the most powerful things in the world. Guys, listen for a second. This is important. The energy you have within you to create a child, to bring down souls, to connect to a woman, is the most powerful part of your being. It's so powerful, such energy in it. It's not just some biological use. There's an actual power to it. The seed has power. It grows something, not nothing. So therefore, when you put that seed is relevant, yeah? That's your personal thing. It's a new concept. We're going to discuss a lot of these things. But once you realize that there's power to it, so you don't want to just give the power to the dark side, literally. Yeah, like by hooking up with, you know what I mean. I have my hooking up with Bashiksa story, if anyone wants to hear. Yeah? You want to hear that? You're missing a story that you're gonna regret. Huh? English. So what's the story? You can listen to this. I'm going to put up the audio. So what's this story? This is a great story. Who knows who the royal family are? Dumb question. Who's the king of England right now? This changed. This is new. Like since last year, I don't know if he was. And who is the son of the king? Who's next up? Who went to his birthday party when he was a teenager? Me. Good answer. So now I went to Prince William's birthday party. And I'm there. Now remember, I was coming from a world of a lowest class, England's class. I was growing up with the lowest class kind of people, and I was also connected to the upper class, and the higher class, the middle class. I was all the classes. That's generally been my journey. I'm connected to all kinds of people. You get to know me. I'm a promoter. I promote all kinds of artists, speakers. I've got converts. I've got Jews. I've all kinds of people that I work with. I don't know if you've heard of Miss in Black. He's one of my guys. So I'm putting on a show for Miss in Black tonight in New York. He's doing a show in, where is it? In Albany, Albany. He's doing a show tonight. I organised it. He's doing a show tomorrow night on Onatano. How do you say that word? Onatano. Oasis I went to. I worked in Oasis. I met Liam and Noah. I met them. I have their signature somewhere. But anyway, listen. I just want to say, and then Miss in Black next week is doing Queens. I'm busy with artists, all kinds of people. That's been my journey. That's my life. Doesn't matter color, race. Doesn't make a difference. I'm busy with souls who are inspiration. That's my mission statement. That's what I do. So now let's just get back to where were we? What was I talking about? Prince William. Thank you. Prince William. So I got into Prince William's party. There's this stunning blonde there. And I'm the kind of guy, you're going to Prince William's party, you're not going to go hook up with the prettiest girl at the party, because probably security, she's probably royalty, who knows what. I go up to her, and I hook up with her, yeah? This is about 14, 15, yeah? 15, 16, coming up to 16. Hook up with her. Her name's Emily. She can hear this, I don't care, yeah? She was beautiful, and I hooked up with her. She became my girlfriend. She lived in the centre of London, all the way the royals and all the fancy people live. And I'm out in the Jew boy suburbs of North. She used to come every weekend, and it's a long train journey from the centre of London all the way to the end of the Northern Line up to Edgware. She'd come and see me, yeah, every weekend for a long time. And she was my girlfriend, yeah. So now it got to a point where I had my old brother's friends, and one other older guy who used to influence me not good, and they were telling me, hooking up, you got to take it to the next. So I was under pressure from them, and I had the ability, and she was my first. Okay, now, yeah, go on.
Do you think it's better to hook up with the girl and date them, or date them then hook up with them?
Definitely, the second. I mean, that's. I've sort of hinted at that with a relationship. It's not just about the sex; about first getting to know the person. Connection, knowing them, and intimacy is then the end result of that, because now you really connect. It's a problem where everyone is just experiencing the sex. They're missing, as Gedalia Fensley is one of my guys I listen to now, I've got better guides than my brother's old friends. In fact, when I go back to London, All my brother's old friends are still friends with my brother. And I'm going this November to a party in London. They're all going to be there. They're all big money town guys, North London, like big money, kind of really beautiful North London Jewish souls. And they're all going to be at this party. Or maybe there's someone listening now. And they're all going to be at the party. And it's like old times, like, hey, and we're like, because I'm like the little brother that they used to corrupt. And we're all like dancing around together, and it's good times. And I'm making l'chaim, and we go to shul together I've got a bar mitzvah, 2 bar mitzvahs this time. Actually, my family who are making the bar mitzvah, my twin nephews, they're actually in a film. I don't even know what it is because it's so top secret. But they're famous models in London, yeah. And they did, for example, Ed Sheeran's music video. They're all around, these kids. And they're my nephews. They're like doing what I could have done, but then came here. Anyway, so now those guys in London had corrupted me, and I was with this shiksa, yeah? So now, what happened was, I just felt empty. I felt like I died that day, the first time I was with her. Something was wrong. And I didn't feel good about it. And every time she tried to hook up with me, and this was continuing all the way through to university, I just couldn't. I just didn't feel like she was clean. I didn't feel right. No, I don't know what it was. I just felt something was wrong. And I liked her. She was pretty, and she was like part of like top, society of London. I just couldn't connect more, even though she was very keen. Even one time, and she tried in the car, like, I just couldn't. And she sent me a letter to university. My parents brought it with them. My parents, they didn't really care if it was a non-Jewish girl or not. Maybe they did, but they didn't think about it. They gave me this letter, this love letter from this girl, and I'm in university. And it was Shabbos, and they handed it to me. I was trying to keep Shabbos by that point. And I was just like, I don't even know if I can get this letter because you just drove it to me on Shabbos. I don't know. And I don't even know if I even really looked at it properly, and that was it. I just disconnected from her. But I knew that I needed someone, a Jewish girl, and I needed someone who it would be a soul connection. I just couldn't do it the other way. It got to a certain point. I'll tell you other stories where that manifested, hopefully over this course. We're going to be here for 4 or 5 more sessions. Next time I'll talk maybe about some of the other experiences where I just woke up about what real relationships are about. But she helped me wake up that I just couldn't hook up with non-Jewish girls. I just couldn't do it. No, I never was that kind of guy. You have to be a bench. Yeah, you have to be a bench. These are people, like even my ex-girlfriend, I call her that because she was like the most primary girlfriend I ever had. And we'll maybe get into some stories about her. My wife knows who she is and hates her, obviously, because she was like the competition at that time. And she doesn't hate her now. Yeah, this one's Jewish. And there was a whole long story of her. But for example, with her, years later, I got hold of her email and I apologized for some of the things I did. And she was like, we were just young kids. For sure I forgave you. Like, everything's cool. And that was it. But anyway, but I do believe for your own well-being, you have to be like good with people. In the music business, there's a lot of snakes. And even with that, I still try to be good with the snakes. Not like I don't try not to work with them, but I try to be at least polite to them. Like I just did something today for one of these guys. I don't know if he's a snake, but he was trying to get me to do stuff for him for nothing. Like, what have you done for me kind of thing. Not that I don't do favors for people, but this guy was pushing it. His ask was too high for someone like, you've never really done much for me, like, what are you doing? So I said to him, you gotta I just sent him a very mensch-like apology that I wasn't able to help you with that. Tell him please let the artist know, even send an email to the artist, and etc. etc. Yeah, what do you want to say? Oh, so I'm a booking agent. If anyone wants to look it up, Unity Bookings, it's Unity Inspires Projects, Ellie Goldsmith. I have a site, it's filled with artists, speakers, some of them are famous. Alex Clare, for example, if you know Alex Clare. No, I do the bookings for him. Yeah, some of them have their own manager, which is even better for me because then I work with a team. It's always better they have a team. Artist tries to be a manager, a booking agent doesn't. It can be a bit like flaky. Matteo, I've never done work with him, but I have met him, and I have a lot of mutual friends who work with him, loads. I'm working with his son, Levi Miller. Yeah. And there are a few other new guys. There's a bunch of new guys. Yosef, Mugnaji, I don't know how he comes over online. It's pretty much Jews, but a lot of converts, a lot of guys who've gone on interesting stories. I believe in making it as interesting. Just now, joined up with a guy. I haven't done any shows with him yet, nor with Levi. We haven't managed to do a show. We did some shows that I brought DJs. He was on the lineup, but we didn't. I ended up not booking him yet. But Davey Howie is a new guy who I'm working with. He's Filipino Israeli. Very interesting story. Philippine and Israeli. Very interesting. He's a new guy, for example. I believe it has to be. We have to work on the alternative side of the Jewish world, not just the mainstream. I'm not really into the mainstream music as much as the alternative music. We have to empower these guys, these very talented, unique souls, who bring a lot to the game. Yeah?
I have a question about an earlier part of the class. So, like, you said that it's very important to be proactive and actually talk to people.
Right.
Great. I think most of us are able to talk to people.
Really.
Would you want to outline to us what are, like, there's a lot between talking to someone and then being connected to them at a level that is actually a relationship and it's not
Right.
just like friends.
Right. So that's where it often comes with what's the goal, your intention. If your intention is what you're saying, which is beautiful, which is to actually develop a relationship with the person, and not just how quick can I get, my needs met. Like, if you can actually think beyond that, the physical drive of just needs met, and actually think, I want to get to know this person. So then that's a whole different goal and intention, and you can start developing real insight to the person. They develop an insight into you, and that is more pleasurable, by the way, than just hooking up. Just that journey of relationship, of getting to know each other, more pleasurable than just the physical experience. I tell you why, because it's called intimacy for a reason. Yeah. Oh, we have a very special person watching right now. Right? The idea of intimacy, being intimate, going intimate into the person, is intimacy. Come into and see me. See me for what I am, not just what you can get out of me. Remember, a big part of intimacy is giving. So, before I ask any more questions, I just want to once again outline the 2 points, and then we'll just end off with some questions. Being proactive means initiate relationships. Very healthy for our generation. Not to think the phone is the solution. Doing like sexting, all this stuff is not the goal. Seems like you guys, thank God, are not having that problem, which is respect to you guys. Your relationships are going to hopefully begin with actual face-to-face communication and interest in the person, not just in getting your needs, not what you can get out of them, actually being interested in them, getting to know them as a person. And as I said, the pleasure level goes way up when you get to know a person and not just the physical. And the second point is, all of you are challenged. I'm going to have to cover it next time because we didn't really do justice. To come up with one line what best describes what you're here for. And not my stupid line when I was a kid. Definitely not that. Much better. I expect much better from you guys being in Israel and being that you're already thinking mature guys. I have to say, when you walked in, I was like, wait, these guys are the new guys, or you seem like as mature, if not more, than the guys last year. I have to give you respect that way. Just the vibe, the way you came in. I don't know, maybe you've gone through a lot this last year in America, wherever you were, in England or in Israel. Maybe you've grown up a lot, but it's amazing. I respect where you are, and therefore try to think about a little bit what you want to do with this year, with intimacy, with relationships. Try to outline some goals. And the best part of it is, you can always change it. You can review. We'll discuss that in another time, but the idea of going over what you think initially can grow and change. We have a concept called plasticity. Your mind is not fixed. You don't want to have a fixed mindset, you want to have a growth mindset. This is discussed all the time in the top podcasts. Why is Joe Rogan so successful? Because he has an open mind. And he's constantly asking questions and seeking out. He's curious. So he's just building and building and building a knowledge and wisdom and network and collaborating. And he's becoming one of the most successful people around. And he's got other things going for him as well. But the point is that you should learn from those kind of people the good parts, not his other parts, the good parts. That there's ability to grow and be curious and learn, and that's part of what we're going to do here. Now, to end off with some questions, because we've only got a few more minutes.
I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
The thing is that, like, you can also become very intimate in that way with a friend, right? So what's the difference?
So there's a big difference with that. Let's be all honest. Everyone says, I'll ask a question to you. Do you have like real close girl relationships? I was terrible generally at that. I had one who ended up being my wife, so that was the game. But it always ended up getting a little bit sexual some way or another if we were in those situations. You have one who's completely platonic. Okay, respect, but it's... You really do? Okay, good. So maybe we're in a generation where we can sort of, because we have so many outlets, maybe we don't need to hook up with every girl we get closer. That's true. It could be. It could be that we're in a world that actually allows that platonic relationship. But the bottom line is that with a woman, it's talked in the Torah. I'm just going to end off with something from the Torah. It's coming up soon. They're amacher. They're another nation. What does that mean? Now, this modern day's understanding doesn't, the woke especially don't get this. But it says in the Torah, amacher. You're a different kind of nation. Men have a certain way and women have a certain way. How do we see it in Parshas Hazinu? Hashem is very strong to the men. V'daber, he speaks strong. And for the women, v'yomeh, he speaks soft. That's in the Torah. Yeah, it's brought down. There are different ways of communicating to a man, different ways of communicating to a woman. You feel that? You know that? Yeah, you talk to your boys different to the girls. Even if she's a friend like you have over here. It's a different kind of talk. Yeah? So you have to know the talk of a lady. You have to learn it a little bit. Yeah? Like I have some rabbis who are unbelievable how they talk to my wife. I haven't still got close to her. I'm married to my wife 23 years, and my rabbi, when I bring him to a meeting, makes me look like a clown in the way he talks. He just has a way of talking. Like, I don't know, you call it like a smooth operator. He has this old school song. But my rabbi, Lahabda, was a Sadiq, but he knows how to talk to women. He knows how to connect to them and to give them the validation they're looking for. Remember, that's a big, another key word. Look, women are looking for validation. They want to feel like you hold them as important, as special. They want to know that. And that means there's all different ways of showing that. One of the most important ones, which is the hardest one for me anyway, for most people in this generation, is focused time. We actually listen, like you guys listen really good this class. Shout out to you guys. Because nowadays with the phones and everything else, you can be well distracted. But that will give you a lot of success in relationships. The fact you're able to listen good, to focus on them and actually hear them. I'm a bit crap at that, honestly. I have to work on it big time. But you have to work on that ability to focus. What are you going to say?
You said, you slightly alluded to this earlier, but
Yeah.
you said that you were going around the meal with all the meetings.
Yeah.
Was this in any way related to your relationship with your parents, your mother?
Yeah, everything goes back to this very deep point. Everything goes back to your parents, what kind of tools and example, role models they gave you as relationships. For sure, it impacts the kind of relationships you're going to go into. Like my father told me his stories when we went and did a tour around London not so long ago. And he showed me, this is the nightclub I went to and met this royal girl. And he was doing the same thing as me. So I was like going like him, growing up in London, doing the same kind of stuff. So he went to a jazz club, because that's what was cool then. And I went to a nightclub. He was very into Ronnie Scott's. Yeah, he actually met my mother there. He met my mother and Ronnie Scott's. Yeah, all my friends go there. It's like a cool place. Still around.
What about your mother? Is that your
What?
relationship with her also related to that?
What do you mean?
A lot of people that go around searching for intimacy for random women.
You're getting a little bit like a psychological way.
I did take AP psychology.
Okay.
No, this was touched on. This was touched on in psychology.
No, definitely not. Your parents are going to have a relationship. But you know what? I made a transformative move. I moved to Israel to find myself and not just be in my parents' shadow. And that's what you have all done as well. Even though you're still going to be a mensch and be nice to your mum and dad. Yeah, go on.
To say that when you're like kind of focusing on yourself, make yourself grow, not looking out for women, that's what comes into your life rather than
Right.
looking out there for women that you're not really even finding this moment.
Yeah.
Like saying.
That's true. It's much more about your inner development. If you become more, what he's saying, marry more inner based, it's a deep thing. Like, I don't know if any of you saw that. Last year I watched it, just for the sake of the guys. Complete waste of time. Sex Education. Have you watched it on Netflix? Yeah. What a waste of time. Oh my God. That's everything not to do. Everything not to do. And by the end, it became so bad. By the end, it was like so woke and so floaty boaty, like strawberries floating in the sky. Like whoever wrote it was tripping or something, on MDA or something. It was such bollocks, excuse my language. It was such rubbish by the end. And I couldn't believe that I just spent a while on this series. But I did get something out of it. What did I get out of it? Is one, how fortunate all of you are that you're not in one of those whacked out schools.
So that's the school in London, right? That's how London school.
I don't know where it was based, but it was whacked out. I don't know, but that was whacked out. You guys are like way forward, way more developed than those clowns, yeah? And they didn't even know what they were. They didn't even know if they're a guy, girl, nothing. They're like clueless on every level. Like, I know I'm a man, you know? Like, I have that knowledge. I knew that then, I know that now. I'm a man. Yeah, I don't care. I mean, cancel me, the simpler. The more you cancel me, the better it gets. So I'm a man. Good. And these women, that's why they're not in this class, are women. They're girls, yeah? Bnei Akiva, boys and girls. It doesn't say them, yeah? It doesn't say, there's no confusion. Now, that program is filled with that. That was the first issue. Second issue, without going too long, because we're going to have, that's like a whole long story. Funny enough, what came up on my phone. Listen, Black for Chabad Ubani, because I just scheduled. As a book agent, everything has to be reminders. I can't be able to do this class and not be there if there's constant, yeah. Oh.
I see you through the stage, right?
Yeah.
Is that what brings broadly spirituality?
It helps, yeah.
What drugs do you do?
I was a big weed smoker. But not just weed, Purple Haze, like the best stuff from Amsterdam. Like the real bud, as they say in England. Yeah? So I was a real bud guy, huh? I didn't need to because I get tripped out from what I got from Amsterdam. It was trippy. And hash brownies used to trip me out. Now, I never got to MDA and any of this stuff. We can have a private conversation or another class about that. These are outside the intimacy course, but once again, if it's done, and I've said this already because people have asked me this seriously, even my own, I'm not going to say it's too much personal, but one of my children, he's been through trauma in the war. I'll be open about it. He's been through the war, Gaza, he's 10 months in the army, 11 months he's been in the army for years, 11 months in Gaza in the army, and it's now 11 months, I can't believe it. It's the 9th of 7th September already, yeah. 11 months in Gaza, fighting for all of us, literally fighting. I've got the craziest footage in the world on this computer. I showed it last year. Crazy footage of him arresting terrorists, him dealing with terrorists, him killing terrorists, him everything. And it's all DJI, GoPro, high quality, and it's mad. But I've never shared it beyond this machine because I don't want it to go public. People have asked me for the media, I'm not giving it out. But I can share pictures, that I can do. And it's mad what he's gone through. So he asked me a question. He said, people in the community we're in, have one or two young guys asked me, do you want to do MDA? So I said to him, like, what did I tell you? He said, you quoted Joe Rogan. That's what my son said to them. I quoted you quoting Joe Rogan saying, only in a specific setting, by someone who's a high-level expert, who knows what he's doing to the highest level, and can therefore ensure that there won't be some sort of damage to your brain or to your mental state, then I said, what was the situation? There was a bunch of kids hanging out in a forest, having who knows what to who knows what. So then he knew to say no. That's the point. You're able to have open communication in this generation. Same with intimacy. So then you don't have to go through some of the crap things I went through because I didn't know, I was clueless. You're an information age. You have so much available. So all of you have ability to really get intimacy in the right place, with the right way, in the right time, in the right focus. And it's the same with drug use. If it's going to help you therapeutically and it's done in exactly the right way, it's not forbidden. Even by the rabbis, there is room for it. Yeah? But the point is, it just has to be done in the right time, right place, like everything. And that's using your brain again. That's what we talk about, thinking. And that's why what we're learning here. What does it really mean to be proactive? I didn't ask you this. We're going to end off with this. It means to actively choose something. What do you want to ask? Because he's a negativist, so it could be very high, I don't know. Because when you're shooting a machine gun, you're not like seeing, it's not a sniper where you can see, or someone close contact. It's negativist, yeah. My name is Ellie Goldsmith. My company is Unity Inspires Project, or Unity Bookings, and I also do marketing as well. But to end off, my goal is United Souls. Is to remind people. I have a podcast called Relationship Flow. I have a podcast called Unity Flow. My goal is to help people to become more self-aware. Like, so they can inspire, like the people I mentioned, this and black, people like that. I'm in the Shirat David community of Efrat, so if anyone wants to come visit Shabbat, I'm there all the time. You're all welcome. You can meet my family, meet my son in the army. He's an amazing, inspired guy. He's done amazing for our people. And you're coming at the good ends of the war. Not that it was a good war, it was a terrible war. You're coming at the good end. You're not getting attacked. Hopefully, there was just a terrorist attack today, which we foiled, thank God. But you should have a beautifully safe year. And I don't just mean safe security-wise, safe sex. Yeah. I mean safe in every way. Yeah, safe. I'm not doing that. Safe. You should be safe. And safe inside, safe spaces. You should be able to communicate to each other and trust each other. We should trust each other here. We're talking about quite real things. And once again, if anyone wants the audio, I'll share it out. And it's up to someone here to take responsibility. I'll share a picture of what I was like, so you get some context. And the next class, we're going to talk about mission statement. We're going to talk about being more effective with our time with people, specifically women, and how to concentrate, how to focus, how to get the best out of a woman, how to really, I gave some hints, but we're going to really home in on that. And we're also then going to talk about a very important concept, that it's not just about your success, it's also about the other person's success. Building a relationship that builds the other person. That's called win-win. And that's going to be really important. So we've got 4 points that we're going to get through within 2 sessions, which is usually take weeks. But this is the situation, and we're going to make it work because you guys are focused. Respect.